Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I'm not here with Geeky Sparkles in this video, but we're going to talk about Lucasfilm. We're going to talk about AI technology, ChatGPT, and how Hollywood and companies like Lucasfilm and parts of the Walt Disney Company need to be very, very afraid, because AI technology is going to put the power back in the hands of individual creators, back in the hands of audiences who want to generate movies based on their personal preferences. And, we're starting to see just how powerful this technology can be. And a lot of people are afraid, obviously, because AI can replace a lot of jobs, but it's also very exciting. It reminds me of when CGI was first introduced back in the 80s, and a lot of 2D animators at first scoffed at it, said it's never going to be as good as 2D, it's never going to replace 2D, and there certainly is a place for 2D animation, but 3D has become the standard, and it happened in a very short period of time. And we'll take a look at like early Pixar shorts compared to Toy Story and some of the reactions when Toy Story came out, and just how much things have evolved since then. But the same can be said for AI and a lot of these AI generated trailers I'm seeing. Again, fans can, within a few years, probably be able to just input some prompts and generate their own science fiction, and it'll be more in line with what they want. And Disney is definitely losing people. They're look at the receipts on the Marvel movies. Look at they had to admit it to shareholders that they're failing to connect with audiences, and they better get their act together. They better figure out how to produce movies that audiences want, or they're going to get left in the dust, because consumers won't need them anymore. So let's talk about this. We're going to do a little bit of a commentary on these videos, guys, and I'm actually looking forward to it, because I'm personally am excited by AI. I think that there needs to be some regulation when it comes to scraping other people's content, but the possibilities are pretty amazing. I mean, really, from a creative perspective, the possibilities are actually very, very exciting. And when used by people that know what they're doing, especially if you had this technology in the 70s and you gave it to George Lucas, it would be amazing what he would come up with. Before we get into it any further, guys, please give us a sub if you haven't subbed already for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. And we have a quick word from the sponsor of this video. We've been following the situation with OpenAI and other news related to AI and AI art and AI replacing jobs. And I found this article on Ground News talking about Microsoft stock. Ground News is an app and a website that collects related articles from all around the world and across the political spectrum in one place, so you can compare coverage and make sure you're getting a well-rounded perspective. That is one of the biggest problems we have when we cover news here on Clownfish TV. So thanks to Ground News, I can look closer at the article on Microsoft stocks hitting an all-time high after hiring Sam Altman. And you can see that more than 38 articles were published on it in the last day alone. And what's so great about this platform is we can see a clear bias in the reporting. More than 40% are coming from left-leaning sources. What's really interesting, though, is to see how this is being covered. Some sources emphasize this firing from OpenAI, while others are focusing on the stock price hitting a record high. We can even see who owns these sources, where a private equity-owned source might have a vested interest in spinning the story a certain way compared to an independently owned outlet. I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of this video, Ground News at ground.news. We're always looking for the latest headlines. We're always looking for news stories that maybe not everyone else is covering, and we're always looking to be as impartial as possible, and it's really hard to do that on today's internet. There's so much media bias going on. I think you should check it out for yourself. If you go to ground.news/Clownfish TV, that's ground.news/Clownfish TV, you can subscribe through my link for 40% off unlimited access, or just $1 a month. I encourage you guys to check it out for yourself. There are multiple tiers here. I actually would recommend Vantage for $5 a month. $5 a month, or $60 for the year. You just bill it. You just pay for it by the year. You get unlimited access to their service, and it definitely is worth it. I think it's worth it if you guys are news hounds and you are always looking for the truth behind the story. I think Ground News can be a valuable tool for that. So thank you very much, guys, for sponsoring this video, and we're going to get back into the news. All right, we are back, and I'm going to show you this AI-generated Star Wars movie trailer. And there are several out here. I retweeted this one yesterday, and I said, look, where is this technology going to be in a few years? If people aren't happy with Disney's Star Wars or Disney Marvel or Disney anything, the technology is going to be there that people can just make their own stuff. They can make better Star Wars or better Marvel than what is being produced by Disney, or at least better in their opinion, right? So this trailer, it comes from Barcy. I don't know who did it exactly. Daily tweets on the latest AI and tech developments, Barcy. So this is a trailer, from Curious Refuge, and Curious Refuge also did, I believe, the Star Wars by Wes Anderson trailer, which is pretty amazing as well. And I've seen some other trailers too that are crazy. Now, people point out that, the motion is very limited in these trailers, obviously. But again, the technology is relatively new. In fact, ChatGPT just celebrated its 1-year anniversary. 1 year. That's crazy. There's been so much talk about AI over the last year that it's only been around for a year, and it's already changed the world. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about how it's changing the media landscape too later on. That Sports Illustrated got busted publishing AI generated articles with fake writers. But this is going to be the new normal, guys, and eventually a lot of these outlets aren't even going to be necessary. The AI is just going to spit out the news, for better or for worse, as long as it's not tampered with. So this is coming from Curious Refuge. Let's blow this up a little bit. And let me put the, I guess I can put the audio on this. This is AI generated.
I think he's near.
Okay. So look at the design. I would have bought a Storm. I still was in the Star Wars, which I'm not, but this is a pretty cool mashup of clone troopers and stormtroopers, and that's actually a pretty cool design. These aliens actually look better than some of the CGI I've seen from Disney, right? Oh. I mean, look, does it look kind of creepy? Yeah, it's weird because AI has a certain dreamlike kind of quality to it. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it does feel surreal. It feels very dreamlike. It's it's not CGI. It's not photographic. It's not painted. It's kind of, it's yes and no to all of the above, if that makes sense. You look at something that has this really kind of ethereal look to it, which I actually dig, especially for sci-fi. I would love to see a take on Dune in this style. Not that the current Dune movies are bad, but I guess I expected something a little more science fiction-y, and the Dune movies that are being released now, the current Dune movies, look very grounded in reality, which that's okay, but I would love to see some hard sci-fi done like this. I think it's a cool look. It's very Yoda-esque. Yes.
Hello again, Lisa Ratano. I need the artifact.
We have a random Jedi person here.
Tunoka, this. So you don't want to play nice? What if I let the Empire know about your illegal operation?
Yeah, the Jedi are ratting aliens out to the Empire.
I think he's over here.
I mean, look, it looks a little weird. It does, but again, can you imagine what somebody like George Lucas or somebody like Jim Henson could do with this technology? Can you imagine what a team of people who are versed in AI and not afraid of it will be able to do in a couple of years? If amateurs can do this now, what could you do if you threw some money at it? And it really, to me, feels very much like the beginnings of CGI and 3D animation. We're going to see movies that are almost entirely AI generated.
Not me.
And there's going to be some really cool stuff. And I think what's going to happen eventually is that we are going to have films that are basically created to order. You know, I think we're going to have very much like the holodeck in Star Trek, where, you know, you can say, hey, I want to see a new, quote unquote, new Star Wars movies. I want to see a new Star Wars movie, but I want to see it done in the style of, you know,
in a
like
galaxy far, far never
Wes
seen
Anderson.
before.
You know,
The
I want to
Galactic
see it.
Menagerie.
You know, what if Francis Ford Coppola actually did a Star Wars movie? You know, George talked about it. What if Steven Spielberg did a Star Wars movie? What if we had these actors in a Star Wars movie? You know, make it make sense. Make it fit with the expanded universe. Ignore the Disney sequel trilogy.
Heroes, as they navigate the absurdity
And
of the
just give
cosmos,
me-
challenge the empire
Just give
and
me the
redefine
Star
what
Wars
it
I
means
want
to
to see. So this is where companies like Disney and Lucasfilm need to be very, very afraid. Because when you have such a vocal, I would say at this point, majority of fans actively rejecting your products, and you can tell with Star Wars, declining viewership on the shows, declining box office receipts on Star Wars and Marvel, piles and piles and piles of Star Wars and Marvel action figures just rotting on the shelves because people aren't buying it. Yeah, they're going to homebrew it. You're basically going to be able to homebrew your own Star Wars movies, your own Marvel movies, pretty much anything you can think of. And I know it's scary, and I know it is, you know, unfortunately going to put a lot of people out of work, I think. But for those of us who just want to make stuff, it's going to be pretty freaking awesome to have the ability to just be like, yeah, I just want to see this kind of movie or whatever, and share it with my friends. You might have like something you make and you throw it up on YouTube and it only gets maybe a couple 100,000 views or whatever. It might be better than some of the stuff that's being released theatrically. So yeah, you know, when we talk about the strikes, the Hollywood strikes, then the WGA and SAG-AFTRA, yeah, they should be afraid. This is exactly what they're afraid of, because it's better than you think it is. The technology right now is better than you think it is, and it's getting better and better and better at a very, very shocking rate. And you're going to be competing with individuals creating their own stuff with this technology. And that is terrifying to them. You know, and again, I do believe that we need to find a way to make sure that copyrighted material, you know, isn't being scraped, that, you know, actors' likenesses and voices, et cetera, those things are not being scraped without your permission. But even without known actors or without, you know, known properties, people are going to be able to make some pretty amazing things. And it is going to eat into science fiction, especially because you're going to be able to create visuals that are just unreal, and you're going to be able to do it without needing to like be able to film anything. Like, you're not going to have to really film anything. You're not going to have to render anything. You're not going to have to go through all of that. It's going to be wild. I mean, I don't even know where this is going to be in 10 years. I mean, is it possible we have like entire TV networks that are just spitting out AI generated shows? I mean, that's very, very possible. And I think it's going to happen a lot sooner than we think it's going to. And at that point, maybe you just need a bot farmer to basically oversee the writing and oversee the dialogue, the voice acting, whatever, and the finished product. But you're not going to need to have hundreds of people working on movies or TV shows. And this is exactly what they're afraid of, guys. I just want to show you, if you say it can't happen, or that's going to be, you know, years and years and years away. Just again, reminder, ChatGPT has only been around for a year as of today. Yeah, it's actually today is the 1 year anniversary of ChatGPT. So this is a very appropriate video. It's only been around or available to the public for a year. And it's had a massive, massive impact on everything. But look at Pixar. This is their first short from 1984. Wall-E B. Those of you who are animation buffs will probably know this one. And in 1984, this was pretty mind-blowing, but we had a lot of people working in the animation industry saying that 3D is not there. It will never replace 2D animation. It's primitive. And it was at the time, but it was the start of something more. And then 10 years later, a little over 10 years later, we get Toy Story, which was a massive upgrade, a feature-length CGI animated movie. And then, of course, we've seen how far CGI has come, and now it's the norm. It's the norm. Disney actually, for all that talk about how it was never going to replace 2D animation, within 10 years, Disney basically replaced all their 2D animators with 3D animators, and they were just making 3D movies. I mean, that's just the norm now. And it's hard to imagine a time when there weren't any CGI movies, because 95% of the time, if there's an animated movie in the theater right now, it's being done in 3D. Those are the most commercially viable movies, the ones that have the most audience appeal, the mass appeal. And that's just the truth. And the same could happen with AI. So yeah, people should be scared. I think people working, I don't think you should be scared in the fact that like, oh my God, it's going to take our jobs. I'm like, no, you should be scared if you're asleep at the wheel. You should be scared if you're producing subpar product, because now you've got, not only do you have to compete with like YouTube, not only do you have to compete with like FanWorks or whatever, now companies like Disney are going to have to compete with AI generated stuff, which is actually pretty good. But just to go back to ChatGPT real quick, again, just to show you how quickly it's being adopted and how quickly it's changing the media landscape. 1 year, guys, 1 year. Again, multiply that times 5 or 10 or 15 or 20. Sports Illustrated just got busted using AI generated articles. This is coming from Futurism. They published articles by fake AI generated writers. We asked them about it. They deleted everything. They talked about Drew Ortiz on Sports Illustrated, and they said he spent much of his life outdoors. He's excited to guide you through his never-ending list of the best products to keep you from falling to the perils of nature. Nowadays, there's rarely a weekend that goes by where Drew isn't out camping, hiking, or just back on his parents' farm. The only problem outside of Sports Illustrated, Drew Ortiz doesn't seem to exist. He has no social media presence and no publishing history. And even more strangely, his profile photo on Sports Illustrated is for sale on a website that sells AI-generated headshots, where he's described as a neutral, white, young adult male with short brown hair and blue eyes. So they created a fake journalist to write fake articles. We'll have fake actors too. Even if actors don't consent to have their images used, you can just spin up a fake actor. Give me a guy that looks like Harrison Ford, but not quite. I want somebody like Harrison Ford, and there's really nothing you can do about it. I mean, that's what's crazy. There are a lot of fake authors being published on Sports Illustrated. I was like, what are they? This is ridiculous. This person does not exist. The bottom of the page, there would be a photo of a person and some fake description of them. John lives in Houston. So the AI author's writing sounds like it was written by an alien. Warren Ortiz article, for instance, warns that volleyball can be a little tricky to get into, especially without an actual ball to practice with. What? So some companies look, the bugs are going to get worked out, but we're already seeing Google doesn't even need websites anymore. It's just like pulling news from different outlets and just giving you a summary of what's going on. And the same thing is going to happen with movies. We're going to have fake actors, fake writers, fake directors, whatever. But there's going to be some really, really good, and there's going to be a lot of garbage. I'm not going to lie. There's going to be a lot of garbage. But in the hands of really talented people, we're going to see some really mind-blowing, amazing visuals that you can't even imagine at this point, because AI can do stuff without the limitations that we currently have on imagery. We don't have to film it. We don't have to render it CG. It can spin it up. I mean, again, is it cobbled together from other images? Yeah, probably. But it's going to be pretty wild, guys. It's definitely going to be interesting to watch this, especially in science fiction. So Disney, you're going to have to bring your A game right now, because you're going to be competing with individuals that can create better science fiction, better Star Wars, better Marvel than you can. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants, guys. And again, thank you so much, Ground News, for sponsoring this video. We'll talk later.